this is Lynne with Vicki Lee Bags. I hope you're having a really good day. So today what we're going to make are these really cute cozies, okay? The little fabric bowls. And you can use them for whatever you would like. I like to use them for my clips when I'm sewing, and whatever findings I'm going to put on a bag. I just put them inside of here so I always know where they're at. I try to keep my sewing area really organized and neat and clean. I also have one by my bed so that I can put my wedding ring in it and my earrings so I don't misplace those either. I just think they're fun and they're really cute. I don't want to confuse these though with the microwave cozies. They're made the same, but I really don't want to get a lot of questions about that. That might be another tutorial down the road because the ingredients, if you will, are different. So I am going to put the measurements of these four, because I'm going to make the fourth one today, in the description box below. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the measurements of these today, just this one, but they will be listed below. Okay, so I'm going to get my things ready and we'll get started, okay? Okay, so for your fourth cozy, you're going to want 2 9-inch square pieces, okay? And then if you're going to use batting or fusible fleece, whatever you would like to use, those pieces are going to be cut out 8 inches square. I'm going to take 2 pieces, and I'm going to take mine over to the ironing board, and I'm going to fuse it onto the backs of these. And when I'm finished with that, I'm just going to use my little red pen here, and I'm going to make sure I have a really nice X on the back, because that's just going to be my guide of how to quilt that on there, okay? And then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I have set my machine in the zigzag mode, and I'm just going to sew from corner to corner. And sometimes it helps that when you get started to hold your thread like this so the corner doesn't get bunched up in your machine, because it would like to. Sew onto a little piece of fabric. There you go. So I use my thread saver technique. Then I'm going to go ahead and sew off the edge. Put this piece under. I'm going to sew from corner to corner. Nice way to save on thread. Okay, so I already did the other one, so we're ready for the next step. And what I'm going to do now is take this and fold it in half. Doesn't matter which way, of course. And I'm going to pin it somewhere up here by the corner. Then I'm going to take it just like this, and now pin it on this side. Okay? Now I'm going to take my ruler and a pen, and it's important that you set your fabric down on some kind of measuring device, okay? Because what I'm going to do now is take the corner, this corner here, and you're going to measure it by the corner, not by your fleece or your batting, okay? You're going to get a more accurate measurement if you measure by this, because this is off just a little bit. It added a little bit of bulk to it. And I'm going to set my fabric down on any square. It really doesn't matter. But I'm going to come in an inch, which is right about here, and I'm going to come down an inch and a half. And so that is like right here. I'm going to draw a line from the inch in and 1.5 inches down. And make sure you get that uniform throughout the whole project, or it will, your little cozy will not look right. And go ahead and draw a line, okay? Do you see that line? Okay. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on this corner. So I did it on this corner. I'm going to turn it over and do it on this corner. 1 inch by 1.5 inches. This is a good time to explain to you that this is creating the depth of your bowl. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, okay? All the way around. If you want your bowls a little bit deeper, then you would go maybe 1 inch to 2 inches. That'll create the depth of it, okay? So that's just kind of a good rule of thumb. So now, take it off zigzag if you chose to use the zigzag feature, and you're going to sew from this line to that line, and you're going to go back and forth right here. Then you're going to turn it over and go do the exact same thing from here to here. And you're going to turn your fabric a little bit, okay? You're not going to go for it straight on, because you want to follow that line absolutely perfectly. Back and forth. And back and forth. So over my little thread saver. I'm going to turn it over. And do the exact same thing here. Try to be as precise as you can. It's really important. Okay, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off the bulk, which is from here to here. Not too close, okay, but a little bit in from 1/4 inch, okay? I'm going to remove my pins. Open it up. You could see the start of your bowl. So now what you're going to do is you're going to fold this seam to seam and corner to corner, and you're going to put a new pin in this corner. Turn it like this. Make sure your seams line up. Put a pin in this corner. I'm going to take it over to my mat, and I'm going to set it down, and I'm going to mark it from 1 inch to 1.5 here. I'm going to turn it over from 1 inch in and 1.5 here. I'm going to go ahead and do that on this one and on this one. So when we come back, you should have all sides sewn, okay, so that when you open it, it actually is starting to look very much like your bowl. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, when you finish that, this is what they should look like. And I'm going to leave one open. The other one I'm going to turn inside out because it's got to fit inside of this one. And what you want to do is make sure that this seam lines up with this seam. So I'm just going to set it inside. And I'm just going to make sure that this one lines up with that one. And you might have to push this into that one because you really want it to fit in there nice and tight so that when you sew it all together and you turn it right sides out, it fits really well. It's not floppy in there, okay? So I'm going to make sure these are like this, push it in with my finger, and then I'm going to put a pin to the left side of my seam towards the top so that I can see it when I'm sewing, okay? I'm going to turn it around to the next seam, push that in, make sure it's real close, make sure your points are perfect, okay? I always make sure it's on the left side. Check my points and my seam here. Push it down in there, make sure my points are nice and even. And then one more. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, because you may not see me real close at the machine, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew from about a ½ inch in from this point here. I'm going to sew from this point all the way to the end there. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just sew all the way till I get to a ½ inch. I'm going to leave this part open because you're going to need to flip this. So you're going to need a space somewhere, and I always start out with doing this part first so I don't forget as I get going around. And you're going to stop about a ½ inch before you get to your first seam. So then I draw a little stop sign. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to stop right there and go back and forth to reinforce my stitching. This is going to remind me not to sew. I'm going to stop about a ½ inch before I get to this seam. Then I'm going to sew from this seam to this corner. And I'm going to show you how that looks. And by the way, I'm sewing about a quarter to a ½ inch, somewhere in there, okay, for seam allowance. So now pick this up, go past the no sew zone, put it back down about a ½ inch. I'm going to pull out my pin. So about a ½ inch away from the seam, I'm going to set this down and make my needle go down. I am going to sew up onto my seam and stop in the exact middle of my seam because I'm going to have to pivot to go this way. Remember, this is shaped like a star. A little back and forth here so that when I pull it through, okay, stop in the middle of the seam and now pivot your whole project so that you can sew straight to your corner. Stop about a ½ inch to the corner. Lift this and continue on. Pull out your pin. Stop on your seam, right in the dead center of the seam, so that you can pivot. we're going on the home stretch. I'm going to snip this here because it's not laying flat. That's the part that we skipped. So I did my pivot. I'm going to go to the end where I started. Do a little reinforce here. Okay. Cut off any of your little strings that are being a little pain. Okay, so now I'm going to find my opening. Oh, before I do that, go ahead and snip your corners like that, okay? Whoops. This one, I'm glad I caught that. I'm just going to pull out this corner. Let me reinforce that. Sorry about that. Got a little cuckoo on me. Okay, so now after you snip your corners, sorry, I got turned around a little bit. Okay. So the best way to do this, because you don't have a lot of room to flip this, is go ahead and put your little, pinch your fingers inside, and before you do that, pull this apart, put your little pincher fingers inside, draw the farthest corner into the little pinchers, okay, like that, and then very carefully, okay, you don't want to tear anything, very carefully, just pull this through, very much like a bag, exactly like a bag. And I'll tell you, when you do the really small one, it is so much tighter. There's not a lot of room, you know, at all. Okay, so I sewed this up just a little bit too much when I was fixing what I made a mistake in, so I ripped it a little bit. That's okay. I'll take good care of it. Okay, so now you just take your fingernail and do the corners the best you can. If you should need to use your poker to poke it all out, be so careful. I can't tell you how many times I went right through that corner. It's not fun, because then you've got to push it back in and start all over. Okay. Okay, so once you get this done, I'm just going to push the whole thing through. Look at how cute. You already have your bowl. So what you're going to do now, isn't that fun? Isn't that cute? So what you're going to do now is you're going to take it over to the ironing board, and you want to give it a good press, making sure that your opening is tucked in, just very much like you do a purse. And I'm going to go ahead and say machine sew it, because you're going to sew by machine 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And when you do, stop in the middle of your seam, pivot again, okay? You're going to stop right here, pivot, and go to this one. Only 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I'm going to do that, and I'll meet you back here. Well, here we go. Isn't that fun? Isn't that cute? So now all 4 of them together, you can stagger them like this, make it look like one giant flower, and there you go. I hope you had fun making these with me today. Please post pictures on my Facebook page and let us know, you know, any questions you have or comments, but as usual, I really, really enjoy our time together. So thank you, and make it a great day. Bye-bye.